welcome to the Dark Side of Soul podcast. This is Joe.
This is Sean.
And this week we have a special guest. We have Angel Earl. She has been on our tour quite a bit, but she also has her own stories and her own perspective. And we're really happy to have her on. You can kind of say she's the third member of the podcast in a way.
Yeah, maybe.
More of a third co-host. That's how the Soul.
I don't think I need to take that up.
I don't know, man. That's how the Soul podcast worked at first. It was just two of us, and then one of our fans came on and became a co-host. That's how it
was. All right.
But that's how I took over the Soul podcast. I was a fan and then came on as a guest, and then I took over the show.
Okay.
And then I ran it into the ground. All right, we're having a wonderful time. Let's see. Okay, well, before we get started, I would just want to remind everyone that we do have the Dark Side of Soul Ghost Walk. We're still running that. You can go find out more and book at darksideofsoul.com. We even have group discounts and things like that. Also, we run a Facebook page at facebook.com/darksideofsoul, where we run. I can't pronounce ours today. We watch parties. Where Sean,
oh my god, it's like a 3-year-old.
I sound like that guy from Big Bang Theory. Well, just
yes, Barry.
Barry, I sound like Barry. Oh, right. So we run regular watch parties where Sean hosts a classic horror film, and we sit in the chat room and we talk about it and we have fun, and Angel will tell us a little. Angel, tell us about the watch parties. You're usually at the watch parties.
Pretty much, unless I miss a reminder or I've fallen asleep, I'm usually at them. Even if I do fall asleep, I'll still put them up in the background for noise.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a wonderful thing to fall asleep too.
Oh yeah, the last one was Dog Soldiers. I was falling asleep too.
Oh my!
Because that finished late. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a double feature.
That's right. Yeah, the Werewolf Wednesday.
Oh, that was great. But yes, the watch parties, they're usually a blast. On Sundays, that's like my Sunday night ritual before going back to work. I order pizza or chicken, have some beer, and watch the watch parties.
Yeah.
That's a good ritual to have.
It's a great ritual. Sets me up for the week.
Yeah, I've been doing them a lot more. Are you enjoying the ones that I'm having more like midweek now?
It gives me something to do. It's actually helping me keep track of my week, because I'm like, what day is it today? Okay, Wednesday. All right. Okay, they say it's Friday. It's got to be Friday now.
Yeah. Just a show note that we are recording a few weeks before we're going to release this. So you might, if you're listening, you might feel like you have traveled forward in time or traveled back in time as we talk about this, because we don't know if the world will still be here by the time this podcast becomes released.
No jinxing there, Joe. No jinxing on this.
No. We'll see.
Touch wood.
So Angel, yeah, you are. This is I kind of I joke around and say you are our number one fan, kind of like Misery. You're Annie, but without the torture and things like that.
As far as you know.
As far as we know, you might have a little ritual for us, like behind you or something like that. Maybe you're breaking little voodoo doll legs or something like that.
Get out of my head.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let some of our listeners know a little bit about you and maybe your history in Korea.
So I've been in Korea for almost 5 years now. I started off as just same as everybody else, teaching English at a kindergarten in Hagwon. And then I switched over to another school where I was still teaching English. But then the next year I moved up to head teacher. And now this year, teacher/manager. So just
good.
Kind of living my life there. And then For 4 years, I was actually a tour guide with the House of Sharing, and I ran that tour for 4 years. After I took over management of my school, I had absolutely zero time for anything else, so I had to give that up. But I'm still working on trying to get the information out into Western museums, into different schools, trying to pass along that information that I had for while I was doing the tours and doing the research with that as well.
Oh, great.
Would you want to share anything now, like a website people could go to?
If you go onto Facebook, you can look up the House of Sharing page, or if you go to nanum.org, and through the page you can access the English language tours. I know they're on hold right now because of coronavirus, and it's really hard to have people go out there, especially considering most of the women, the average age is 93.
Oh, wow.
Not good to have people just running around there.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. With that.
So then, now, how many times now have you done the Dark Side tour? Is it 7 or 8?
I'm 8 or 9 now, because actually I talked to a couple of my new teachers who just signed up this year into going on a tour a couple of weeks ago with Joe.
Oh, that's right. You joined Joe on a tour. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ago.
So, it was a couple weeks ago.
Still running the tours. We're just keeping our social distance.
Yes, right. Make sure
social
all the
distancing.
guests wear masks. Yeah. So then what is it about the tour that you love so much? Why do you come back so often?
Every time we end up doing the tour, there's always something new, something different that's been added, a new story or a new location that's been added to the tours. Mm-hmm. And I've only taken Sean's tour once, because you run yours during the weekdays, and
that's right.
I don't have time to get up there. But
you joined on last Halloween.
Yes, I joined the Halloween tour because Joe tipped me off. He's like, "Oh yeah, Sean's going to be running a random weekend tour. You should take it."
That's right. It was a weekend. Yeah, it was a Saturday, I think. Yeah.
So I was like, I need. Let's try something different, and seeing like the difference between the two tours. It's like two completely different tours.
So, how would you say? I think Joe and I could speak for ourselves, but it'd be interesting to know what you think. How our tours differ.
With Joe, he focuses more on like the grisly side of like the stories. He just sticks to like this happened, and then there's a lot more like, it's more funny kind of horror, like Bruce Campbell type.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Goes to Bruce Campbell.
Yes, like if I could like put it into a genre, I put it like Bruce Campbell style horror.
Okay,
I love
Joe and I love Bruce Campbell, so it works.
I've never thought of it that way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then your tour focuses on like very historical facts and folklore, and this is the stuff that like I would have learned in my Korean history classes in university, and then actually going to these places and hearing about the stories in the actual places. It kind of tickled the scholar side.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Are there any specific stories from either tour that stick out? Like they're always like you haven't forgotten them?
Well, I've been on the tour so many times. I think I could almost do the tour by heart.
Yeah, I think I sometimes I'm doing some of my spiels, and I can see you like you're saying it with your lips. You're speaking along with me,
anticipating.
It's just I know the stories so well, but probably anything around Gyeonggi-gung Palace. Those ones always stand out for me because that place is just the weirdest spot on the tour.
There's something new every time we go. There's always something happening there.
Always, constantly something there, and probably the axe murderer.
That's Sean.
Or the hammer.
Oh, hammer.
Yeah, the serial killer. Yes.
Young Cho. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes called the Rainy Thursday killer or the Raincoat killer, but probably wasn't the same person. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people often will comment that that's a frightening story because it's not only is it visceral, but it's true. It happened.
Mhm.
The folk
And not
tales
too long ago.
and not too long living memory. I remember that. I was in Korea when that
I was kind of a newbie, but yeah.
Right, you were there at the table. Remember when he got caught?
Yeah.
Right around that
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when. Yeah, we'll talk. Actually, we're gonna have an episode later. Probably we're gonna do a series on serial killers in Korea. And
we'll do a lot.
I'm excited to hear about
Sean, this is what's fun is like Sean and I we get through and we were like when we actually sat down to start research, because at first we was like, okay, we have enough material, we have enough material to really do this a lot, and then we actually sit down and started researching stuff, and we're like, oh, should we do a whole show on this and a whole show on this? And I think we have at least 5 years of content if we do one show a week.
Yeah, at least. Especially because like Korea is just a weird place.
Yeah,
it's a beautifully weird place. It's a fascinating. It's a stimulating place.
Yeah, well, that's why we've all been here for so long.
Well, I kept saying, I'll leave when it gets boring, and it's never boring here.
Yeah, it's never boring. But yeah, like Angel, you brought up that Gyeonggi-gung, the Mulberry Palace, which for people listening, that was built in the early 17th century. 1620 actually was the year it was finished being built. A lot of people have claimed to have had some sort of weird experiences there. So have you had any strange experiences there yourself on all the times you've done the tour?
Even outside of the tour, because I've gone back to that palace on my own. Last 2 years ago, I brought a couple of my friends on the tour, and then 2 days later, we decided after work one night we were just going to go up and re-walk the tour on our own, just to kind of do it by ourselves.
Nice.
And then we ended up at the palace, and I can say every time I go to the palace, I've been there every season in like 35, 40 degree weather. It's as soon as you step on the palace grounds, it's really damp. It's cold. You can start feeling like your skin starts to feel like really wet. It's almost like a cold sweat. And all of the lights, it doesn't matter. They all have that like ring around the outside, like when you just get out of the pool.
Yeah, they get the halo.
Oh, yeah.
They all have the halos around them. And as soon as you step off the grounds, everything's normal. But as soon as you get on those grounds, it's the weirdest feeling. And it doesn't matter if it's day or night, because I've gone back during the day too, just to go inside the palace while it was open.
Yeah.
And it's still got that like cold feeling.
I've only been inside it once during the day. And I've been inside it twice. One time the guard let us in at night. And that was kind of interesting, going into a dark palace at night. We just walked in the grounds a bit and then we walked out, but it's still fascinating how that palace is. Just the last tour I did last week, afterward we were having some chicken and beer. Sometimes I do that after the tour. And all the participants said that they really felt icky when they were on those grounds. Yeah, there was
a lot of, actually, on the tour that I brought my coworkers on, a lot of them said the same thing, that they did not like the feeling while they were on the grounds. Right. Now, actually, I need to fact check this with Joe. Yeah. So when we were on the grounds, it was just us, and then there were two guys up near the gate and whatnot. But apparently, as we were coming down and we were walking out towards the road, 3 of my coworkers said that there was a guy completely dressed in black following us.
I don't remember that.
I swear,
last time we did the tour?
The last time we did the tour.
Yeah, this is weird.
No one. I didn't see anyone there. I did not see anyone either. We were on the grounds alone.
And I'm paranoid. I'm always looking around because I'm always trying to protect my guests. We don't get trouble, but I'm always cautious just in case.
Like that place, there's lots of like benches and stuff like that. I mean, that's where like a lot of people who don't have homes tend to end up staying for the night.
Yeah.
Right at the front, by the gate. Yeah, Hunghwamun, the gate. Yeah, that's right.
But it was still winter, so people don't normally hang out there during that time.
That's right.
No, they don't. And that's why, like, 3 of my coworkers, they all said that somebody came up and they were on the steps of the palace with us, and then they followed us down and out the gates, and then they went a different
no one
way.
Was there. No, definitely. If someone was on the ground walking their dogs, maybe I could have missed it, but definitely were not on the stairs with us.
Well, that happened because I didn't see it either. And there was another one of our my coworkers. He was
now
at the
they
very
are
back.
aware that
He
there
didn't
is a
see it
drug
anyway.
test when they do come to Korea, right?
Yes, they are aware, and they all passed.
Okay. Right.
Sorry, didn't mean to disparage your coworker.
That's all right. I do it all the time.
An interesting thing, just talking about Gyeonggi-gung, yeah, stories about it being haunted or having weird events like that go pretty far back in history. And not only stories from Koreans, there were Westerners who had claims of strange experiences on those grounds, or discussed how Koreans felt about it. So Isabella Bird wrote about that back in the 1890s, and she said that the audience hall on the inside was in the possession of ghosts, and the way she described it was an orgy of demons amidst the doleful splendors. And by orgy, it wasn't sexual. She meant a group of demons. So that's how people viewed it at the time, and she observed that, and she wrote about it. So the idea of that place being odd, just not right, goes way back in history. And a very interesting thing, when Kwanghae, the hated king, no one liked King Kwanghae, when he built that, when he ordered to have it built, he was following a prophecy, according to some records, some folk beliefs at the time, that the grounds held a prophecy that if a palace was built there, it would produce many great kings. So several kings ended up being born on those grounds. So right back to its beginning, its positioning behind Inwangsan, which is the central shamanic mountain in Seoul, one of the epicenters of folk religion in Korea. And then, of course, it runs in a line then with Namsan, the South Mountain, which originally was on the outside of the southern gate when the gate around the city was built, originally when Seoul became the capital. And then this prophecy was there. So right back to its origins, it had something mythical about it, and some very, very strange and bizarre and supernatural, right down to a prophecy. So it's just central to that palace, and that's why we go there.
Wangsan's probably the only mountain I will ever hike.
In Wangsan? Yeah. Beautiful mountain. Yeah. A lot of very interesting things there. And I share a story on my tour, if you remember.
Yes. I still need to go up that mountain. Me and actually the co-worker that I went on that tour with, we still have to make a plan to do Seoul Moon Prison and then do the mountain. Yes. Yeah. Do that. That's right. It's a great day. Yeah. Pack a lunch and have it. Yeah. It's a great day experience. A great day to spend in Seoul doing things like that. Hopes I can see a shaman or an exorcism ritual. You might, yeah. You'll definitely see, at least, if not a shaman, you'll see maybe a manshin, the people who practice it, people practicing some sort of shamanic ritual. I mean, I've seen exorcisms there, so yeah, possibly. I just love this. Not many places you go in the world, you just go like, I was walking, I saw an exorcism. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly. I was walking down to the Quickie Mart and saw an exorcism. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't happen outside of the CU mark for Korea. CU. Yeah. So, Angel, had you ever done dark tours before of any sort? Actually, in Canada, there's not too much dark tourism. In my hometown, there's lots. Actually, there's lots. Sorry, what's your hometown? I'm originally from Woodstock, Ontario, but I've been living in London for about 15 years. Well, London, I think we chatted about this. London is close to Lucan, and it's the Black Donnelly country. Yeah. I've been to the Black Donnelly farm before, and I've done some stuff around there. But in terms of like actual tours where like you actually get information, there's not a lot being done about that, with the exception of like on Halloween, like you can go to the old courthouse, which used to be the execution grounds, right? And you can go, like, it was part of a school trip where you would go to the Black Donnelly farm and you would go to the graves and learn about it. But outside of that, there's nothing really to talk. Then there's so much history in Canada, especially with the residential schools and all the horrible things that happened around there. But there just doesn't seem anybody kind of like you guys taking up the mantle of let's do the dark side of London, Ontario.
Well, I think, maybe that area, I just know, like you said, the Black Donnelly. For anyone who's interested, look up, go to Google and search Black Donnellys, Ontario. It's Lucan is the town. You may want to maybe search Roman Line. That was the old name of that road where they lived. There was a family of Irish immigrants, and they allegedly caused problems when they immigrated to that town in the 1800s. And they were all killed by vigilantes. And as they were all being killed, the mother, Joanna, cursed all the vigilantes, and they all apparently died tragic deaths, or several of them did anyway. So it's an interesting thing to look into. There used to be tours there. I did one when I was quite young, maybe like 89 or something. I was about 10 years old. Don't know if they still do them. Toronto has a lot of dark tours, ghost tours and whatnot. St. John's, Newfoundland. Newfoundland, where I'm from. St. John, lots of ghost stories there. The St. John's Haunted Hike has been going on for 21 years now.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, a lot of Vancouver maybe as well. How about around Alabama, Joe? Sorry, not Alabama. That's where you're from, right?
Yeah. But I wasn't really into. I'm sure there might be something now, but there wasn't back when I was growing up. We just had the usual haunted houses, and I used to volunteer for the haunted houses.
We chatted
back in the day. I mean, I knew that there was something in Savannah, but that's not.
Oh, tons of stuff in Savannah.
Yeah, that's Charleston, Savannah, all those really old towns. I think maybe St. Augustine. There might have been something like that, but. We just had more ghost stories in Alabama. Crybabies Hollow, Jeffrey, the Mobile's pipe smoking sea captain, which actually took place in a house where my great grandfather owned that. So that happened in there. So my family's in the 13 Alabama Ghosts book, by the way.
Cool.
Yeah, that was our claim to fame before
you.
Before me. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same with my hometown. Like, there's nothing really there, but just like stories. Like, we used to run the Oxford County Mental Institution was stationed in Woodstock, just outside, and along with the actual facility, which has now been turned into like a sports center. There's soccer fields and stuff all around, and then the group homes, which were just kind of spooky soccer. But these group homes, there was like 6 of these giant houses that were just kind of left there to rot, and they've now all been torn down and turned into condos. But I remember when I was in high school, actually me and my mom was totally into going in and doing these kinds of things. We would go in and like we would film because we were trying to make it was part of my film class. Me and my best friend, we decided we were going to make a music video to Thriller.
Nice.
So we decided, hey, let's go into these like haunted group homes, and these places, like some of the stuff, like most of it was put there by like just teenagers kind of trying to get a rise out of people, but it was still just like a weird place to go to. And it's just stories, and same with like Critters Lane, this supposed haunted road that you go down in and your car just breaks down.
Ooh. Okay. Those are like local contemporary legends, urban legends, and things.
Yes,
like that.
Our urban legends.
Speaking of which, did you have you had any personal experiences?
Apparently, I have with this this man dressed in black following us off the tour.
Oh, okay. I mean, outside of that, okay.
There's always been just things that have happened that I can't really explain. But one thing that really stands out was when I was little. So after my mom and dad split up, we moved into this house in Woodstock. It's this little house on the corner. It was divided up with the landlord who lived in the other half. And where my bedroom was situated right at the top of the stairs. I have a thing with stairs. Stairs terrify me now.
Really?
But yes. So my room was just this strange little room and nothing too out of the ordinary except for the closet. So you would go into the closet. It was really small, but there were these screws that were just poking out of the wall, and they were just all over the wall. So it kind of looked from Matilda, the Chokey, kind of looks like that. So that weird little thing freaked me out. But what really got me was a couple of times I would wake up, and normally I close my door because, again, stairs freak me out. But there were a few nights where I would wake up and my door would be open and it's completely pitch dark in the hall. There's a little light in my room, but I can see the outline of something sitting at the top of the stairs. Now, I would absolutely terrified. I would not move out of my bed, and I would just sit there and stare at it. And then eventually it would just kind of like fade away.
Did you have one of those creaky houses that always made sounds when it was windy?
That was one of these houses, and the whole house was hardwood floors.
Yeah. Wow.
So that happened a few times. We only lived in that house for about a year before we moved out, but that was definitely a freaky house.
Wow. Yeah, maybe in a future episode, Joe, before we finish up here tonight. Maybe a future episode, I'll share a story, and I'll tell this to you. Well, you can hear it on the podcast later, Angel, if we eventually record it, if I tell it. My father lived in allegedly a haunted house in Newfoundland when he was a boy in a place called Placentia Bay, a town called Dunville. And all the experiences were had by my father, his twin brother, my uncle, my aunt, who was younger, my grandfather, and my grandmother. And their story was published in Reader's Digest.
Oh, cool.
So that's amazing.
I'll share that on a future episode, maybe.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Angel, for joining us today. This is really interesting. I hope to have you back on. We can talk a little bit more about your experiences. Hope you're going to go back on the tour sometime.
Of course I will. You can't keep me away, and you'll see me at the watch party tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Just reminding you that we do again, if you want to join us and every now and then join Angel on the tour, go to darksideofsoul.com and book through there. Also, our music for the show is by Soraksan, Soraksan. We also like to thank our top tier patrons, Joel and someone named Angel.
I don't know that person.
If you want to support the show, please go on. We have a Patreon. We have a link to it on our website. It's at darksideofsoul.com/podcast, where you can do just donate like maybe $5 a month. You get stuff. We give you stuff. You get video versions of the show. You get a few extras, and Sean gives audio stories. If for a little more, like $10 more, you get more stuff plus music. From Sorak-san, and then at $20, even more stuff. Plus, you get a nice little treat in the mail, horror-themed little toy or something in the mail every month, right to you. Real physical goods.
Loot.
We'll send to you. Loot.
Loot crates.
Yes. It's our version of a loot crate. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Everyone, have a good time. Have a good time. All right. And,
thanks, Angel.
Stay safe.
Spooky.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Stay inside. Yeah. Okay,
Social distancing.
Yes.